Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, My Social Thread. My name's Crystal and this is 2023. January 1st sort of major vlog of the year for me, and it is the roundup of all of my December makes. I am, as you will have noticed, I'm wearing a coat. Unfortunately, our boiler has broken down beyond repair and we're hoping to get that fixed in a couple of days. In the meantime, we have just been having electric heaters at home, coats on during the day and electric blankets at night. So I mean, things could always be a lot worse, so very thankful for everything that we do have, one of which we don't have is a boiler, but that's going to come in a couple of days, as I say. And so yeah, so December was a very productive month for me, actually, because I find that when the children are on school holidays, I have more free time to get things done. Also, most of the makes I did get made up were jersey dresses, which are always, in my opinion, quicker than woven dresses to get made. And also, once I like something, once I like a pattern, I kind of just make those again and again because I know the instructions already, the pattern pieces are out, and they're very easy to do, especially if most of it is done on my overlocker. So, Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys had a lovely Christmas and a very Happy New Year to all of my viewers. Thank you so much for all of my subscribers so far. If you are liking my content, please do kindly like and subscribe. Also, please check me out on Instagram, which is My Social Thread. I also have a D-Stash page, which is My Social Thread underscore D-Stash. Sorry, I can't talk at the moment. One of which, actually, I have decided this month that I am going to sell on my cover stitch machine, which is the Brother Cover Stitch CV3550. So I got this from a lady second hand, and she had only had it for less than a year. She'd given me the receipt as well to show that it was less than a year old. I have never actually used it. It's been sat on my desk throughout COVID and until now. So it's been sat on my desk for about 2.5 years. Not this particular desk, because I have actually probably 1.5 years because we had just moved a year ago, so it was sat on a different desk. So anyway, I'm hoping to sell it. It is pretty much brand new. I have never used it. It comes in its original box with all the original accessories, dust cover, all the little pin things, instruction booklet, of course. I will detail everything on My Social Thread underscore D-Stash, so please have a look at that. I did have a quick look at how much it's worth. I think it's worth about £659, so I'm thinking about £500 to sell it. And postage will be, unless somebody can pick it up from where I live, postage will be quite hefty because I want it insured for the value of £500, and that's going to cost about £30 in postage and packaging. Anyhow, please have a look at that if you do fancy buying a bargain cover stitch machine. I just don't really have the use for it, even though I do sew jersey. I'm quite happy with my sewing machine and my overlocker doing all my jersey bits anyhow. So, sorry, without further ado, I'll go through everything that I have been up to in December sewing wise. So first and foremost, I made, shall I start with something? Okay, I will start with this pattern here. It was my blogger project for Little Miss So-and-so for their All Set to Sew So Luxurious kits, and I got the Leona by Fiber Mood pattern. And it's a lovely knit sweater here. As you can see, it's just a crew neck, and it has sort of like a yoke detail, gathered bits at the side. Is it raglan? It isn't a raglan. I'll show you later on. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a sleeve here and a cuff, and it is quite oversized. So let me show you the pattern, the line drawing. So there you go. So it's not a raglan. So it's basically, I don't know what these pieces are called. You've got like the bodice piece, the same for the front and the back, and then you have these arm pieces, and then you have a gathering stitch on either side that goes all the way around to the back, as you can see there, and then cuff at the wrist and cuff at the bottom band. Right. So Fiber Mood, for those of you that don't know, it is a, I'm going to say French, I think it's French. It is a French company, and they sell the Fiber Mood magazines. You can buy them one off. I think one off, they're about £15 one off, and in the magazine they have about 15 odd patterns that are attached to the back of the magazine. So actual pattern pieces that you have to trace off, so they are kind of laid on top of each other, different colors. You have to trace them off and add seam allowance. You can also subscribe to them, a 12-month subscription. Can't remember how much it is now. I think it's like £120, so I think it's like £12. No, it's not £120. I think it's £100 or €100. So it's and you get the magazine 4 times a year. And I think the magazine, I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I think it's about £20 per magazine. I will put the link down below. And basically you subscribe for a whole year, you get 4 magazines, and then you also have the option to add to your subscription PDF files. So instead of tracing off the pattern pieces at the back of the magazine, you are entitled, according to your subscription, to download 5 PDF files of the patterns that you wish from that particular magazine, and then they send it to you with or without seam allowance. You can choose that, and then you can have it printed off in A0 at your local copy printer. So that saves you from having to trace, which is actually a big time saver for having to trace things out. And then you get your hard copy magazine. Instructions are also printable as well if you want to, and that's Fibermood. So now lots of companies are actually also selling individual patterns, so they come with the printed instructions and the A0 file, and you can also buy actually on their website individual patterns as well if you want to, and I think they range from like about €8 to about €15, so very affordable. And also they have a lot of different styles and patterns, lots to choose from this, so there's something for everybody. I am actually thinking of maybe subscribing because of the PDF part of the subscription where I don't have to trace, because the tracing did really put me off at the beginning. I don't like tracing, although I used to be a tracer at the beginning. So this is the Leona Fibermood, and I went, so the instruction, it is quite a loose and baggy fit. I did it all on my overlocker. You don't even have to top stitch the neckband, so it is all overlocker. So I think I cut it out and got it all done within an hour 15 minutes. The sizing, it is an oversized fit jumper, and so the sizing is, as I say, really, really big. I decided to go for the small, even though my measurements really fit. Well, actually, my measurements were extra small, but I thought I'm not going to do extra small. For those of you that don't know, I am expecting another baby, and extra small were my measurements, even bigger than that, smaller than that, in fact. But I decided to go for a size small, but I lengthened it to a large. I lengthened it to a large. So I did the size small in everything, but I lengthened it to the large. In hindsight, I would have lengthened the sleeve by maybe 1.5 inches because it does fit. It's just that I feel that when I pull my arms out, it kind of gets a bit too short at my wrist, which I'm not too keen on. So that's that. The fabric I chose was a beautiful teal green sweatshirting. No, fleece back French terry, and it's got sparkle glitter print on there, and I'll show you the reverse. So it's a French terry because you can see the loop back, but it's what's it called, it's brushed, so it's like a brush back French terry, and then I got the green ribbing to go with it. Again, it didn't say to top stitch. I guess you could top stitch that if you wanted to, but it didn't say to do so, and I think it lies quite flat anyway, the neckline. The same with the ribbing at the arms and the ribbing at the bottom there. So it's a lovely sort of, there you go, you can see the shape there, sort of lovely sort of bat wing arm, and the back is exactly the same, bat wing arm. Very easy to make, and I'll pop up a picture of myself wearing it. The next thing that I made for December was 2 matching dresses for my girls. Anya, who just turned 8, and Ava, who is about 21 months, and it's the Be Curious dress by Ellie and Mac. I'll pop up a picture of the pattern as I don't have it to hand. This is my go-to pattern. For those of you that follow me, you know that I make these all the time when I have spare fabric for my girls, and I ended up making them 2 matching dresses. It's the same print but different colorway, in a neat floral needle cord from Pound Fabrics. So this is the purple version. Just show you the needle cord there. You can see the needle cord. Sorry, it's a bit fluffy where I've washed it. The needle cord fabric there. Long sleeves, elasticated cuff. It is just a bodice, fully lined bodice, and a gathered skirt. The back, I just have some poppers, and I'll show you that it's self-lined, fully lined inside. And that's for Ava, so I'll show you a picture of Ava wearing hers. And then I made the exact same one for Anya, who's 8, but I made it in the same fabric but a different colorway. So this is the green colorway. Again, exactly the same, long sleeves, elasticated cuffs, and that's the fabric there. I didn't have enough fabric actually for this to line the bodice completely, so I lined the back bodice in the same fabric, but the front bodice I just had some navy viscose, and that's that one there. And I'll pop up a picture of Anya wearing her one. Very easy to do, very straightforward. This pattern goes from 18 months up to 12 years, which is really great. I get a lot of value out of it. You can have short sleeves, you can have ruffles, you can play around with the tiers of the skirt. I lengthened the bodice in my one because the standard bodice is a vintage style bodice, which is really short. So it's kind of empire line, but I prefer it to be a normal bodice that sits at the natural waistline. And that's the only adjustments I did. Maybe I lengthened the skirt a bit as well because the vintage length is above the knee, and I prefer below the knee skirts for my girls, just because I think it looks nicer, and also it lasts a bit longer as well as they grow taller. So that's 3 makes done. The next thing I made was lots of Tabitha t-shirt dresses. Excuse me, let me get the pattern. So for those of you that follow me, you know that I love the Tabitha t-shirt dress. I think I have made 8 short sleeve versions for the summer. I've also made the Tabitha t-shirt maybe about 4 times. And now that it's winter, I have made, I think, 4 or 5 of the long sleeve versions. Not for myself, but for my daughter Sienna, who's 11, and my other daughter Talia, who's 15. And these won't fit me at the moment because I am pregnant, so they don't fit me. But it's from the Make It Simple Tilly book. And it's basically the Tabitha t-shirt dress, and it's the Tabitha t-shirt, and then it gives you instructions to draft your own skirt, and then you attach the two together to create a drawstring dress. And it's very simple. I have made so many of them, and they're really lovely to wear, very cozy for the girls, and it's like a nice flattering fit as well. And the thing that I love about the Tabitha t-shirt dress is most jersey items or garments have negative ease. This actually has positive ease, which is really nice. I think it's only like 1 inch of positive ease. Let me show you. So it's this pattern here. So it took me a while to... It's a Tabitha t-shirt, this one here. And in size-wise... So it has 1.5 inches of positive ease, which for me now I like because it's not too fitted and it's not too loose, and that's exactly how they describe it. And for me, I think it's the perfect t-shirt. And so basically it's just a t-shirt pattern, short sleeves, 3/4 length, long sleeve, crew neck that you top stitch down, and then you draft. It gives you instructions to draft a skirt panel, and then you just draw it gives you instructions. It looks complicated, but it's not at all. It gives you the instructions here of how to measure and how to draft your skirt piece, and then you add the top and the bottom together, and the seam allowance you fold up and sew down, and that becomes the channel for your drawstring. And it's a very simple pattern to do. So in terms of the drawstring, you can either use eyelets or buttonholes. I have used eyelets in the past, but I found with wear, the eyelets, even though I've used the necessary interfacing and the proper tools to install the eyelets, I found that over wear, they've just come loose, which is really annoying because you can't then really fix it. So I have now gone back to the buttonholes, which is great. They're stable enough, no holes, nothing that can come loose. So I did buttonholes for those ones. And the versions I did were I did 2 for Sienna. So this is a version here. This is a lovely organic cotton jersey from Poppy Fabrics, which I bought from Lamazi. And it's basically a rose pink with white squares. Just some ribbing that I had in my stash. And this label here, gorgeous, is from Beyond the Pink Door Advent Calendar. And I've got I had some of this, which is lovely, just in my stash, some rose pink cord. And I'll pop up a picture of Sienna wearing that one. The next one I did was also for Sienna. Again, it was also poppy fabric. This is an organic cotton jersey this time. So that one was a cotton jersey as well. A cotton jersey, sort of a watercolor floral print on a baby pink background. Then you've got all the sort of the burgundy and wine color tones. This was also from, Beyond the Pink Door, Think Pink box. I had this matching burgundy ribbing in my stash. You can see that I've top stitched the neckline there. And this label, I believe, was from the Kylie and the Machines advent calendar. So that's that one there. And I'll pop up a picture of Sienna wearing that one. And then lastly, I made another one, but this was for my daughter Talia. Again, this is from Poppy, organic fleece back sweatshirting, but it's a lightweight. It's a lightweight one, so it's not like your proper sweatshirting. So you can see the fleece back there. It's a lovely sort of, what color is this? Sort of a dark pink purple with different colored splodges. Again, from Poppy Fabrics, but I bought it from Jenny Stitches. I used burgundy ribbing, and this is from the Kylie and the Machines advent calendar as well, that says hooray there. This time I used some burgundy drawstring. I don't actually have a picture of my daughter in this one, but if I can get one in time, I will pop up a picture of Talia wearing that one. Next on the list, shall we do, let's do the Estelle dress. So I got the Sew Over It Estelle dress as part of a kit at the Knitting and Stitching show that I attended with Adele from Sew for Serenity and Claire from Stitch Hem Sew back in October. And so you got the PDF printout, and you got the instructions, and you got some lovely fabric in a bundle. And I think we got it for, I'm going to say £35, and online they were selling for about 50, so there was a big discount on them, so we each got one. I got a floral version from Poppy as well. The fabric was from Poppy, and I think the other ladies got some plain jersey for theirs. Are you waiting for me? No. And let me show you the pattern. Sorry, it's the Sew Over It Estelle dress. So it was their last pattern released in October for the year, I think. Or was it? I think it was the last pattern they released. So it's the Sew Over It Estelle. It's basically a knit dress, and it's just sort of, it's not actually a crew neck, it's not a boat neck, it's sort of somewhere in between. And you can have short sleeves, 3/4 sleeves, and long sleeves as you please. And it's, yeah, the front is sort of two pieces. You've got the bodice piece and the skirt piece, and then the back is also two pieces. And the main detail here is this clever tie detail that you have. You also have the option of having a slimline skirt or a slightly flared out skirt with side slits. This goes from a size 6, bust of 31, waist of 24, all the way up to a size 20, bust of 45, waist of 38. So this particular pattern goes from a size 6 to 30, but then when you buy them, you either get the lower, the smaller size bracket, which is 6 to 20, and then you get the bigger size bracket, which is, I think it starts from like 14 to 30. So size range, it's very inclusive. Excuse me. Pregnancy burping. And fabric wise, you need about, on 140 you need about 2.5 meters, which is amazing. So I normally am a size 12 with Sew Over It, and because of the baby I went for a size 16. But oddly, for this knit pattern, there is negative ease at the bust, which I expected. So for example, in a size 16, the bust is 41 and the finished garment is 39. So that's 2 inches of negative ease. But for the waist, there's positive ease, and it's quite a lot of positive ease. So for the size 16, the waist is 34 as measurements, and the finished garment is 38.25 inches. So that's 4.25 inches of positive ease. Now, I don't know how they're measuring that. I think it's because the tie does come out a bit. I will show you when I show you my dresses. So I was quite undecided as to how to go about it. Well, actually, I wasn't. I think if I wasn't pregnant, I would be a bit more undecided. But because I was pregnant, or I am pregnant, I thought that was great, because the 4.25 inch positive ease at the waist would be perfect for my bump. And I went for the size 16. Very, very easy to sew up. The only thing I needed to use my sewing machine on was the hem and the neckline. Everything else was done on the overlocker. After my first one, I literally could do it by heart. From cutting out to sewing it up, it was 2 hours from start to finish, everything. So that's really, really good, and it's a great way to use up your jersey stash. I have used quite a few quite varied jerseys in my makes, so I was able to kind of experiment sort of the different sort of stretch qualities of the jerseys. So I've used a viscose jersey, a scuba, and a cotton jersey, and also like a textured knit as well. And I'll tell you as I go along which I found better. What else did I do? Oh, and I also had to shorten it. I never have to shorten things, even though I am 5'4". I quite like my skirts below the knee, but for this one, this was almost ankle length, so I had to take off a good 6 inches off the waist, off the length, and everything else was the same. So I went for the slightly looser skirts, but I didn't put the slits in. And then also for the neck, you do get a neckband that you attach on as you would like a sweater, but then you fold it in on itself, and then you top stitch it down. I wasn't keen on that finish because it just looked a bit bulky. So for my second, third and fourth versions, I literally just overlocked it and turned it under and top stitched it down. Again, not many people like that finish. To be fair, it's not the nicest finish, but I think for this particular dress it works quite well. So I'll show you my versions. What else did I want to say? Yep, I'll show you my versions. My first ever version was this one here. This is a viscose jersey. It was in my stash. I got it from the market in Lewisham back in London when I used to live in London. And I'll show you the neckline here. I mean, it's not too bad. So what it is, it's a neckband, and then you, as I say, attach it down, and then you turn it in on itself and top stitch it. I mean, it's not too bad. You can see there's a bit of bulk, but maybe I'm just being too picky. And this is a very thin viscose jersey, so anything thicker than that seam would be really, really bulky. So that's why I decided for my future makes not to do it that way anymore. Yeah, so this is the part at the front. So this is the tie here. So I'm thinking the positive ease that they talk about is because of, I guess it's quite hard when you have to measure the garment. Where do you measure? What points do you measure at? Oh, what happened here? The tie, sorry, bear with me. Oh, it's come off now. So I don't know if you can see, this is the tie bit here. So all of this fabric is the positive ease, and that tie kind of goes across, and then you tie it in the corner. I will pop up a picture of myself wearing it. So this obviously isn't a maternity dress, but I think it's the perfect unintentional maternity dress, because that draping, that ruching at the side just sort of frames your bump so nicely. And I think it's a lovely dress that you can use all different kinds of fabrics for. So that's my version number 1. Version number 2, I went, sorry, that was a size 16, and it was actually too big. So when I first tried it on, I had so much extra on the arms, around the side. The skirt actually was fine, but sort of the bodice where the waist comes up and the whole top was really, really big. So I ended up just overlocking it, obviously cutting off the excess by about 2 inches on both sides, and then it fit perfectly. So then I thought next time I will do a size 14. So I cut out a size 14 from the same existing size 16 because all the lines were still present on the pattern pieces. I cut out a size 14, but then I used a different fabric. I used a scuba, which isn't as stretchy as viscose jersey. And the scuba that I used was a lovely Lady McElroy scuba. And I'll show you this version here. So it's a lovely navy with sort of kind of abstract florals, and scuba is basically the dressmaking form of neoprene, which is what you use for scuba diving suits, but it is very stretchy, but not as stretchy as viscose jersey, if that makes sense. And also, as I said, I just overlocked the neckline, the neck opening, and turned it under and top stitched it down. And I think that works quite nicely for this fabric and for this dress. Everything else was the same. As I say, I took off 6 inches off the length, and everything else is the same. So you've got the ruching here again at the side. But what I found with the scuba, because it isn't as stretchy as a viscose jersey, it was a tad too tight. So I wouldn't say it was unwearable, but I had lines at the bust apex, and that's when you know that something is a bit too tight. And so that was a size 14, but I didn't want to go back to the size 16 again. So what I normally do for these situations is I stuck to the size 14, but instead of using the 5/8 seam allowance, I just used a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which for my overlocker is right at the side. And then for my sewing machine, I've just got the guide for the 1/4 inch, which actually is the same as my presser foot. The end of my presser foot is a 1/4 inch, and that fit perfectly. So version number 3 was a perfect fit. Let me pop up a picture of myself wearing this one. And just to say, with scuba, I mean, I guess with everything, with all fabric, it's not the same depending on the brand design or the designer. But I find with scuba in particular, I only seem to like Lady McElroy scuba, because other scubas are a lot thicker and spongier, and just not that, well, it wouldn't be good for sort of a drapey dress. It would be good for like a more structured pencil skirt type dress. What am I talking about? Like the Tilly and the Buttons Etta, like a structured dress, then that kind of thicker scuba would work well. But for a more drapey dress that you kind of want to alternate between a jersey, instead of using a jersey fabric, I would go for Lady McElroy scuba, because their scubas are a lot more drapier than others that I have had in the past. So version number 3 was this one. So this is the original kit that I got from Sew Over It from the Knitting and Stitching show. It's a floral organic cotton jersey from Poppy. And again, I've turned it over, just overlocked it and turned it over, and I'll pop up a picture of myself wearing it. So this was finally the final sort of perfect measurement in the sense that it was a size 14, but with the smaller seam allowance, and that fit perfectly with still enough room actually for a growing bump, so it would work really nicely throughout the rest of my pregnancy. I'll pop up a photo of myself wearing it. And then last but not least, for the Estelles, I used another fabric that I got from my Beyond the Pink Door Think Pink subscription box, and it is a navy sort of knit with a lovely texture there. And it's just the blue version of the Estelle, and I'll pop up a picture of myself wearing it. Excuse me. So that's that one. So that's quite a lot already. So I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus the 2 girls' dresses, 9, 10. And then I've got another 2 more dresses to show you. I made the Nina Lee Bakerloo dress for my daughter Sienna. It was her Christmas dress. And I'll just show you the pattern here. Nina Lee London Bakerloo. So it's a lovely blouse or dress. They're the variations. It's just a front bodice, back bodice. It's got bust darts. It's got sleeves with elasticated cuffs. The sleeves, again, you can adjust. The skirt, again, you can adjust. But the main design feature is this beautiful collar with a ruffle. I went for the skirt, the dress version, and the long sleeves. And I have made this before for myself. But I found that the collar was a bit too big on myself, so I reduced the collar size on the sides and the back, but I didn't reduce it at the middle, because then the ruffle, the collar wouldn't meet nicely at the front, which was actually advice given to me by one of my viewers. This particular pattern goes from a size 6, bust of 32, waist of 24, all the way up to a size 20, bust of 46, waist of 38. I went for a size 12, I believe, for my daughter. Very easy to follow. The only thing, I wouldn't say difficult, that's quite fiddly, is making this collar because you have basically the under collar and the top collar. Then you've got a ruffle that you have to squeeze underneath, and you sandwich it together, and then you turn it inside out. But what you have to make sure is not to get the ruffle caught in that corner there. I will show you my version here. This is Sienna's dress. It actually looks really pretty. Makes me smile just looking at it. It's a red check cotton from Pound Fabrics with some blue viscose for the ruffle. It has been ironed, but it's not looking that the iron, unfortunately. And so this collar has already been reduced by 1 inch all the way around this way. So originally it would come up out here. Oh, also, sorry, with the sleeves, I did amend the sleeves. So the sleeves for this are huge. I think it would be double, if not 2.5 sizes, the size of this sleeve. I narrowed it down significantly using the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra long sleeve version. And I also had to shorten it by 1 inch as well. So that's just an elasticated cuff. Everything else is the same. You've got the bust darts there. Oh, and I've added some waist ties as well. And yeah, so what I was saying about the collar. So you've got the under collar and the over collar, and then you have to have this sandwiched inside. So when you sew it down, make sure that when you turn it out, this hasn't all been eaten by the sewing. So you need to be quite particular in getting that corner quite nicely sewn. It just fastens with a rouleau loop and button at the back. And it's a very lovely dress. I think it's very fitting, sort of red tartan for a Christmas dress. And she really does like it. I might have some plans for another one if I can find some fabric in my stash. I'm not trying to buy any fabric at the moment. I know lots of people say that, but for me, really, I almost have kind of lost my passion for buying fabric, which is a great thing because I have so much to get through. And it's just nice knowing that I'm not overspending on fabric that I don't need. So that's the Bakerloo and the Lou Bakerloo dress. How long has this been going on for? Yeah. What else did I want to say about the Bakerloo? Yeah, so it's just basically the collar that was fiddly and the sleeve that I changed the width of and the length of and added waist ties. So that's the Nina Lee Bakerloo dress. And then the last thing I made for December was the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra dress, which is my absolute favourite shirt dress. I have probably really made about 10 of these so far, long sleeves and short sleeves. And it's basically a shirt dress, loose fitting shirt dress, bust darts, long sleeves or short sleeves, collar, stand-up collar, and tiers for the skirts, and it's got pockets. I don't do the tie as a whole waist tie. I just put 2 ties on either side of the waist that you can tie at the back. This goes from a size UK 6, bust of 30, waist of 24, all the way up to a size UK 10, bust of 48, waist of 42. Although they do have an extended size range that goes up to a 30 or 32, but you have to buy a separate, just a different size band for that. And I made my daughter Tal. Did I show you a photo of Sienna? Let me pop up a photo of Sienna, sorry, wearing her Christmas dress. And then I'll show you this dress. I made this in a navy and blue tartan cotton from Pound Fabrics again. And this is for my daughter Talia. I love this dress. I've made these so many times. I can make it pretty much by heart, apart from the collar. I still need to follow the instructions for the collar. And yes, I've added the waist ties here, as I say. I love the pockets. Also with the tiers of the skirts, I do play around with them so you can get a shorter version, a midi version, or a maxi version, however you decide to play about with them. And I think it's a very versatile, smart dress to make and to wear. And I'll pop up a photo of my daughter wearing it. It is a bit too big at the waist, but I thought if I went down a size, she would have difficulty getting it on because she is quite broad-shouldered and she's got like quite a big bust. And even though, and the tie does bring it in, I can see at the back, there's quite a lot of fabric at the back. But I think if I was to make it smaller, as I say, it'd probably be too difficult for her to get on and off, making her not want to wear it in the end. So I think that's fine. What else do I have to say? So when I make this dress, because as I say, I've made these so many times, I try and batch all my overlocking bits together. So the first thing I do is do all the skirt pieces. So I overlock all the sides, overlock all the pocket pieces, attach the pockets, understitch them, which is really great. And then I gather and do the skirt pieces together. Then I do the sleeves, do the gathering stitches at the sleeve head, do the side seam elastic and everything, and then I've done the skirt and the sleeve, and I can probably do that in one evening. And then the bodice, because of the collar, it's a little bit more difficult for myself, or not difficult, I suppose it's a bit more fiddly and I need to pay more attention, and I can do that in another evening and then join the two together. So that's just an easier way of doing it, especially if you're batch sewing this particular dress. Then the skirt is very easy to literally do even without thinking, because it's just such a simple pattern to do. So that's that one, and I'll pop up a picture of Talia unless I already have. So all in all, I have made, was that 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 items for the month of December, which is actually quite impressive for myself. January, my January plans vlog will be coming out in a couple of days, so I'm taking it a lot easier with my January plans. Probably only 3 or 4 sort of guaranteed plans, but I might be able to squeeze in small bits here and there, which obviously I will let you know about when the time comes. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you again next time. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.